So, okay. Get the one that has your name. Okay.
And your left. Yeah, and your left.
Oh, hello. We had a little bit of some technical difficulties there. So, I guess what advice would you give other military spouses?
Just to get connected, for spouses, if you can find some military support. I don't know, does your group do that for the spouses or is it just for the military person?
I know for the spouses
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, so find the resources, take the time to do that, and just and then even just get advice. I think that would be helpful than just plowing through by yourself, like I did. But yeah, and then trying to stay connected and then encourage each other to share. I know that I think that's the hardest part for the military guys is to share. So I don't know whatever would be best for your spouse or loved one if they like to talk to a counselor, a person at church, or just another vet. So I feel like that in my mind would seem to be helpful or at least worth a try.
Yeah. And we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for asking all those good questions. It's making me think even more what to do for my son who's in currently.
Oh, good. Good. All righty, Stephanie. What would you like to share about your journey?
And that is my alarm to go.
That's her timer to go. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, the cookies are done. All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming on the show.
My story looks a little different than hers because Josh and I were not together when he was in the military.
Yeah.
We were friends when he was in Korea. As she talked about phone cards, we used Skype to talk back and forth when he was in Korea.
Okay.
He got out in 2013, I would say. I think that's when it was, 2013.
He'll let you know if it's
yeah, he'll tell me. He's already asking for the link and everything.
Tell him to wait.
2016, we started dating. Shortly after there, we ended up having our youngest son, Benjamin. Benjamin is named after Josh's gunner, who he lost.
Oh, wow.
And I think while a very happy time, it also brought up a lot of memories. And seeing him from the man I met back in 08, 09 to now, two completely different people.
Yeah.
Him telling his story, each time he tells it, it gets a little longer.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite.
I'm going to cry too. And it's so healing for them to share their story.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of courage to share that story.
And every time I hear a little bit more, a tear rolls down my face.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, you don't understand.
That's tough. That's tough, right? You're trained in the military to be strong and show no signs of weakness. And a lot of guys, we think that's a sign of weakness. So to open up is releasing some of that, which is healing, right? And it's affecting you too.
Right.
When he got back, were there tricks that you did for yourself to stay motivated, positive? So you're staying motivated and positive for him as well before he got home and till he got home?
So I wasn't, we weren't together while he was deployed.
Okay.
We got together post-Iraq, many years post-Iraq. But even like in the mental health aspect, I've seen him struggle over the years.
Well, you were friends prior, correct? So you were still friends.
Yes.
You're still involved in a way, correct? So there's still a worry there.
Yeah. When I would watch social media And when I see something posted, I reach out. And we talk about random things, not even what his post was originally about. It would just be to get his mind off of things.
Nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like that's what he needs, is to just take his mind away from that
Mhm.
and bring it elsewhere.
And that's huge. I mean, anybody that has gotten any type of trauma, I mean, you have that shock time that you're just
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh. And then your mind has to process what it's seen, and it's hard to it's hard to move on from that. I was in law enforcement, so
Mhm.
my first fatality was two children that were the same age as two of my kids.
Ooh.
And it's like that's all that I thought about, after you do the report and do all that stuff. And then my sergeant, he had made a joke, and I was just like, that is not cool to make a joke. But people joke about things to help deal with
That's
it.
how they get through it.
Yeah.
I'm a very big jokester. Josh is a very big jokester when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's because it's better than dealing with it. And I know it was like I came home and I told my husband, and then I wanted to tell him again.
Mhm.
And then I wanted to tell him again, and he didn't want to hear it.
Right.
But it was like I knew I needed to process it.
Mhm.
And I just, you're just kind of like by yourself processing it until you're able to move on.
Mhm.
And so it's so helpful to have like somebody else come in and say, oh, hey, what about this other thing?
Mhm.
Because then your brain takes a break from being in that cycle
Mhm.
and can focus on something different. And then it's like the more that it does that, when it goes back to that, it's like, oh, okay, it's still traumatic, but
Right.
it's not as life freezing as it was.
Right.
Fight or flight. Right. So, and that's anything too. Listen, being a fireman or a police officer or in the military or even a civilian doing something. We talked about control a little while ago and what control you have and what control you don't. The only thing you can truly control is how you react, and who you are is yourself.
Mhm.
Correct. So you can't control the things around you, anything based in trauma. Basically, I quick short story. I came across taking my family on vacation, had to drop the dog at the father-in-law's that was out in the Schaumburg land area. And in the road was it was like a parking lot on Plum Grove Road, and there was a minivan in the intersection that was in an accident. And we're about 4 cars back from it, and I hear screaming and crying from this van saying, my brother's dead.
Yeah.
My wife was like, go. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So as I approach this thing, knowing I'm gonna visually see this thing,
Mhm.
and I need to keep it together. As getting into the van and slapping cell phones out of people's hands on the way, because like, really, that's what you're doing?
Yeah.
Noticed that he was in a seat, took his pulse, noticed that he had a pulse, he was alive, he was breathing, he had blood coming down his face, and looking at his mother in the driver's seat. She was going, what did I do? She was white as a ghost. And I was like, lady, he's going to come to, he's alive. And when he does, he's going to look at that expression.
Yeah.
And that's going to change the world. Pull it together. And so she did. And then the ambulance came and so forth and so on. But you'd never know. You never know how I drove all the way on vacation. I have 2 girls going, oh my God, that could have been my kid, or am I going to have nightmares about this? And I have.
Right.
But then I learned to talk about it with other people and so forth and so on. That release, you have to get it out, journal it, write it down.
Yep.
And some of those things. And I love how you bring the fact that you guys actually communicate, you talk.
Mhm.
As of what happened, that story gets a little bit longer, right? Brings you both to tears, but it's needed, it's healing. Are there any other tricks to that help you through on the other side for other people out there that are in your shoes? What would you tell them that has worked for you?
So it's every day is learning something new.
Of course.
It's very hard not to take things personally.
Yeah.
If somebody comes home and they're quiet, or if they're having a bad day out of nowhere,
Mhm.
human nature is to think, well, what did I do?
Right.
So I've worked very, very hard on letting it be
Mhm.
and talking rather than assuming.
Yeah.
That has been a very big help in
Yeah.
that.
So don't assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing. I went through that with my son. I was in the house with him.
Mhm.
So yeah. I mean, I had to ask him for a hug because I wasn't allowed to touch him.
Right.
And then it would be like hugging a statue, a rock,
Right.
because it wasn't embracing back, you know. And it was so easy to get your feelings hurt,
Mhm.
you know.
Even
And
though at
it's
the end of
like,
the day.
nope, nope. He's processing his stuff.
Mhm. The other thing is learning dates.
Oh,
Things.
the important
Yes.
remembrance.
Yes. Learning those dates, learning what works best for your spouse in those dates.
Mhm.
Whether it's to stay at home and do nothing or to be busy.
Yeah.
That's a big, and having the community to talk to. I
Yeah.
did not at the start of our relationship have very many combat vet spouses in my life to talk to. I had
Mhm.
my quote unquote civilian friends who don't understand.
Right.
I don't even understand. Let's be real. I don't understand.
Right.
But through with what my husband does for work has
Mhm.
helped him grow.
Yeah.
It's helped me grow.
Mhm.
And I want to say, helped me help others grow as well from the things that I have learned.
Yes. Now, what about like with your son, because he is named
Mhm.
how he is that hard for him on a regular basis or just that anniversary time?
I don't think it's hard for him on a regular basis. I'm trying to think of that saying about maybe you guys know. It's about when you keep saying their name.
Oh,
What is that
never
called?
forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
There's
word for
a
that.
yeah, and I can't quite remember, but I think it has that type of meaning.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I think it was a little difficult for him at the beginning.
Okay.
But now I don't believe so. That would be a him question, but from what I can see, no.
Okay. Wow.
Now,
Yeah,
you're
everybody's journey is different for
100%.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've shared like some great insights to help other people for sure.
Would you say that you are on the search for triggers? That way you know them.
Yes.
And how many are you still coming across them? And how many are there? Quite a few, I bet.
There's quite a few. There's certain things that I wouldn't think are triggers.
Yeah.
Like driving down the road, a random box on the side of the road.
Ooh.
I would just think somebody didn't clean up after themselves or it blew out of their minivan, because if anybody's car looks like mine, I could totally see that.
Right.
But for him and other people in the service, that has a completely different meaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
Dates. Unexpected loud noises.
Startling, right?
Mhm.
Fireworks. 4th of July is probably hard.
He does pretty well with the 4th of July, knowing it's coming. It's, I think, more so startling when it's in June,
Oh,
May,
yeah.
January.
Knowing that it should
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But he does pretty well with that. And I've learned, you go out to a restaurant, you sit in certain places.
Yes.
So he can see
Everywhere.
everywhere.
All
Yeah.
that trees.
Yeah.
I listen, I'm not a serviceman. I sit facing the door because I want to see what's coming in. And if I
Mhm.
need to protect my family, I will. It's just a thing. And that's even being trained
Right.
to be aware of your surroundings 24 hours a day, 7 days a
Mhm.
week. You are in fight or flight mode consistently. So how long has he been out?
Since 2013. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time. Long time. I think it's obviously they progressively get better,
Yes.
or it's just it's a slow boat, I'm sure.
It's slow. I definitely credit his line of work for helping him open up more.
Can we ask what the line of work is?
So he is a case manager for Veterans Path to Hope,
Oh, awesome.
and he started there as a peer support specialist. Got to meet other veterans and
That
families,
definitely
and
would help.
Yeah.
Yes.
we do
We love those guys.
Friday hikes.
Yeah.
Those are one of our
Mhm.
favorite. I meet spouses, and my kids meet other kids, and it's good for all of us to have people who have been in similar situations. Because like I was saying earlier, my civilian friends don't understand.
No.
Their first thing is run.
So
My husband knows that too. Like that's
what advice would you give someone who was like coming in like the same time that you did, like after they served, but didn't have that history of knowing them beforehand?
Hold on. But before you answer that, I got a question that kind of goes right before it. It doesn't make
Okay.
sense if she answers that. So so through the process, good friends, good buddies, laughed. You had a real strong relationship. How many people told you you're crazy? Don't do it. It's not the same guy. When you came back, right? So everybody, especially close to you, try to protect you, right? So were there a lot of people like, I get it, but be careful because he's not the same guy that went away.
not so much in that they knew him.
Mhm.
Because nobody other than my one friend, nobody that like I was around knew him. But I got from quite a few friends, like when they found out I was talking to him, and then when they found out that, 8 years later we were together. Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? Is that something you can handle? And I did get that question. It's just, I don't know. It was
Well, because you
No, right.
you love him and care
Correct.
for him.
Correct. And that's what I think the cool thing is, because your mission is this after when they're out, right?
Mhm.
Jendra's was different because she was going in,
Yeah.
and it is really a mission,
and the
right?
statistics scare me too.
Sure.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? 22 a day, right? So that's so you're giving your heart and everything, going, not sure, where he's at. So every day it's a blessing. But I can imagine, and I know me because I'm a little bit of a smart ass. I'd have been like, no, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but it's going through the hard
Yeah,
too,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
not taking the things personally and
deciphering.
finding what the triggers are and stuff.
Well, too, and I'll chime in on that real quick before your question. True love is when it's hard, not when it's easy. When it's
Mhm.
easy and puppy and everything's great, anybody can do that. True love is when it's hard. You went right into when it's hard. That's true love. So God bless you for that. Number one.
Mhm.
We don't mean to ask these questions to get you emotional.
But
I
they're
just
kind
cry.
of happy
But-
tears.
I just cry.
They're
Yeah,
kind
that's,
of happy
that's okay.
healing
That's okay to
ones.
do that too. You know, what did you say here? I don't have my glasses on. Anyways, you know, I give you props, big props, for who you are as a person and being able to have patience, I think is key. And you, I know I'm not a patient person.
I try. Sometimes
I-
I'm not. Don't let me fool you. You know, I'm not always
Listen,
patient.
I have been
You're a
in the
human
house with
being.
women. I try to be as well, but we learn every day.
Yes.
Mhm.
So you know, kudos to you. I'll let you go ahead and answer her question.
One more time with your question. I forgot.
What advice would you give someone who is coming in on the back end of the military relationship like that?
Okay, so I'm big on like reading things and learning things,
Mhm.
and trying to come in as knowledgeable as I can.
Mhm.
Um, listening to people's stories,
Mhm.
be open. Don't just go into it thinking
You know everything,
you can save somebody or
right?
because you'll never know.
Yeah.
I'll never know.
Yeah.
I can only do what I know is best, but getting in that community
Mhm.
with other spouses and girlfriends and, you know, the kids and
Yeah.
all of that is definitely, and don't take the advice of your civilian friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think our time is about up. I know these are like hard conversations to have. And so thank you for sharing.
I have them all the
them.
time. I just, now there's a camera. I get a little nervous.
It's okay. It's okay. And that I to say when you were saying that every time he shares a story, it brings a tear.
Mhm.
It's a happy tear.
It is. It is.
You know, because you know he's healing,
Mhm.
you know, and it just is like more hope.
It is.
And tears aren't necessarily a sad bad thing,
No.
you know.
And especially in this case, it's most definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so cool to see, you know, where they were and how far they've come.
Mhm.
And they do. They have amazing stories to tell.
Mhm.
And people need to hear those stories, especially the ones that are still back here that need to hear that encouragement, you know, and that hope. So,
I use the term finding your mission after you're out. I don't know how fully Josh feels about that, but I
Mhm.
feel like when he started working with veterans, he found that.
it's their purpose. It's
Mhm.
finding their purpose because now they have a different purpose.
Mhm.
And so it's like finding where they connect and fit in for that purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And to know they're not alone.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you guys for all your input, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.